Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition all Hecata Chronicle Berlin Bloodlines, except we have only one Hecata with us tonight. This is our final pregame session, or prologue session, Gruesome. Let's meet our players, starting with Josh.
Hello, everyone. I'm Josh, also known as Strange Adventures, and I will be playing Lucius Giovanni.
Syriinx?
Hi, I'm Syriinx, she, her, and I'll be playing the Witch of Kudam tonight.
And Zach.
Hi there, I'm Zach Rivaldo. Tonight I'm playing the Nosferatu Yancey.
And I'm Huddy. I've been told multiple times I need to say myself too, because I never do. I'm Huddy. I'll be your storyteller this evening. As always, this is a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition actual play. We've gone over our safety and consent, but please check in with yourselves, as your well-being is important to all of us who are playing, and all of the content warnings for this game will be in the description. So if all of you are ready, lass uns anfangen, which means let us begin, and let's return to Berlin in the year 2003. We begin our scene tonight with you, Lucius. It's been a very long journey from the city of Edinburgh. You learned that your ancestor, Roger de Camden, someone you are related to through both mortal and immortal blood, someone you looked up to, learned from, admired even, was assisting those wretched harbingers of skulls in their plans to purge this world of the Giovanni bloodline. Disillusioned, heartbroken, and now actively hunted, the only remedy was to remain on the move, dodging those murderous remnants of the Cappadocian clan. But one of them did catch up to you, Lucius, and as you drank him dry after his pathetic attempt at besting you, you noticed a journal left behind on his rapidly decaying body. In the journal were only a few words: person in white, Berlin, Shadowbane, crown of shadows. It was surely a sign of providence, calling you back to the city of your birth, calling you to your destiny. You've been in Berlin now for a few months, and for all the wraiths you've ripped from the Shadowlands and tortured for information about this elusive Shadowbane, you've learned surprisingly little. The latest seems to be the spirit of one of those runoffs they call Thin Bloods. His corpus looks fairly well intact, a newly restless dead he must be, and he stares at you with wide, frightened eyes. The fuck is this, man? Where the fuck am I?
You are where you deserve to be.
I was just trying to get into Berghain.
And what is Berghain?
This Berghain? It's only the hottest, best, fucking awesome club in the world. How did you do this? How did you trap me here?
You wouldn't understand if I explained it to you.
Well, let me go.
No.
Okay, then what do you want?
I wish to know of Berlin. I wish to know of the Kindred. And anyone who I may be able to ally myself with. Who here is strongest?
I'm a Duskborn. I don't exactly hang around with the strongest kindred in the city. Strongest kindred has to be that freak that lives over on the Peacock Island in the Faueninsel. But you can't go there. No one can go there.
Is it protected or is it forbidden?
Both.
Hmm.
The other strongest person is probably why I was trying to get into fucking Berghain, the Witch of Kudam. That's where she posts up all night. Every night, almost.
Every night?
Yeah, she practically runs the place, although she doesn't own it. It's like she doesn't want to be attached or something. So stupid.
You do not need to have the need to something to control it. Look at you.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to get in there because I wanted a little bit of her blood.
Her blood? What on earth would you do with that?
My shit, obviously. Like I did this. But I can't get in there. There's no way they would let me in there. But if I had some of her blood, I could probably do a lot of cool shit, make some money.
Do you consider yourself to have a soul?
I've never really fucking thought about it.
It's very interesting. I was attempting to trap a wraith here.
What the fuck is a race?
You've never heard of a ghost?
Oh. Well, I just say ghost.
Then you would be wrong.
I'm not a ghost. My body is back in Friedrichshain.
That is unfortunate for you. It will remain there.
You're saying you're going to leave me here?
I just make like a grunting sound and attempt. I'm not sure if this is going to work, but I'm going to attempt to use a passion feast.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Projection.
I absolutely want you to do that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. There is no roll for passion feast, but I could be wrong.
Resolve plus Oblivion is written next to the thing. I haven't read the extended rules though.
Let me say resolve
but
plus... Yeah. Mm-hmm. Resolve plus Oblivion. It's not necessarily going to kill him. Resolve plus Oblivion versus resolve and composure. It might kill him, but not necessarily. Depends on how much you roll, how much aggravated damage you're going to do to him.
Okay. Ooh, that's not great. That's 3 successes.
Yeah, well, I don't have, I have 4 dice to roll here. And I rolled 0 successes. So you're going to do 4 points of aggravated damage to him, and he is going to be completely consumed as he only had 4 dots in health.
This is probably a novel experience for Lucius then.
So what happened, Lucius, you've feasted on many spirits in your time. It is a fast, efficient way, once you have a wraith in your vicinity, to feed without having to worry about trying to find a mortal, tracking them down, the painful bite, all the things that you have to worry about in your bloodline, your clan. And this is maybe the freshest wraith you've ever consumed. It's divine, delicious. And you feel almost warm when you consume him, and very satisfied. You may remove your hunger to 0, something that does not happen when you feed from wraiths.
Okay.
Because you are feeding from a living soul, not a restless dead. Perhaps in the future, feasting from thin bloods practicing their bastard blood magic might be an interesting way to have a snack. So, he dissipates. He's no longer here. You're alone again. You're in a warehouse, in a storage unit that you have just taken over in a district or Bezirk called Wedding. And Friedrichshain is to the east, that's where Berghain is, if that is where you'd like to go. Or, if you like, you can head to the south and go observe this Bauerninsel.
I think his plan is to observe this forbidden place and spend as short a time as possible like learning about Berghain, because he's,
Old.
Just turning up a place unannounced is...
Sure. So,
awesome.
Do you think you have a vehicle? Do you think you've stolen a vehicle of some kind?
Oh yeah, he's absolutely...
Or are you taking public transportation?
He's on the run, so he's stolen a vehicle.
Okay. So I'd say you've stolen some sort of old BMW, as we would say here, not BMW, BMW. And you head down to, and of course you've heard of the Fraueninsel. You was obviously there when you were born here in Berlin some 100 years ago. But what you know, let's see what Lucius knows about the history of the Fraueninsel, since it's never come up yet. You can roll me an intelligence, and let's just make it academics.
Okay.
That should be not a terrible roll for you.
It's not awful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with a crit.
That's a lot of successes. So you know a lot about the Peninsula. You would know that this island has been here for, who knows how many years, thousands of years. And at one time, it was under the ownership of the Prussian Empire here in Germany, before Germany was Germany and when it was Prussia and other things, after it was the Holy Roman Empire. This sort of central part of Europe has a really sort of complicated history. It's not very linear. And the Prussian Kaiser, the Emperor of Prussia, gifted the island to his son, who ended up gifting it to his mistress, and then took it back from his mistress, and it sort of changed hands back and forth. And eventually it was owned by a man who was of royal descent, who was very into alchemy, very much believed that alchemy was the solution to the world's problems, and tried experimenting on lots of different things, including the blood of peacocks. For some reason, he thought the blood of peacocks would have some sort of magical effect, because they're magical-looking birds. And that didn't work, obviously, and the island just became flooded with peacocks, uninhibited breeding of peacocks, and since then, it's become sort of just a nature heritage site. You think at one time people were allowed to go there, but it hasn't for many, many years. It's just run rampant with peacocks. And it's got some old buildings that have fallen down that aren't maintained anymore, some old royal Prussian-looking buildings. But other than that, there's nothing interesting historically about the Peninsula.
Okay, yeah, so he doesn't have a boat, so he's not going there.
There are boats if you want to go.
Berghain's probably easier.
For sure.
But also, yeah, he's just, as he travels through the city, he's not going to swim, he's got a nice suit. Probably just idly wondering whether there's a Kindred Prussian royal that still owns it, or
that would probably be
like
the wisest, that would probably be the best assumption you can make out of that.
Yeah, thinking about the family tree and who ended up killing who and deposing whatever, and
so German history, so very, I mean, you're not British, but you lived in the UK for a very long time, or Großbritannien for a very long time. They kept much better track of that. It's much easier to follow that along than to try and figure out everything going on with the Holy Roman Empire, and then the Prussian Empire, and then the German Free States, and then the German Empire. That's very complicated.
Yeah. So he is going to, once again, steal some appropriate clothes for Berghain.
Sure. How would you like to steal them? Would you like to steal them from a shop, or would you like to steal them from a person?
That's a very good question.
That's why I asked.
He's going to find someone who came out of Berghain.
Sure. Okay, so you're going to travel with your car to Friedrichshain, which is all the way to the east, and you're going to just sort of grab someone out of...
Basically mug them and strip them.
Yancey, where do you think you are in this scene?
Yancey is probably nearby, but not at Berghain. How long is the line?
Always incredibly long. You know, Berghain doesn't open up till about 1:30 in the morning, and Berghain stays open for 3 days at a time, and that line fills up pretty quick. People stand in line starting around 10 p.m.
You'd probably find Yancey about the middle of the line, not standing in line, but on the side of the street near the middle of the line. Because when you make your living busking, doing street performance, a captive audience is always better than the people that would just walk away from you. These guys aren't going to leave anywhere. They have to stand and watch me.
Absolutely.
Otherwise they leave online.
And you are infamous now at this point. People know that you're going to be here, and some of them are excited to see you, and other ones turn away from you entirely. If you could, while you do your street performance, if you could make me a wits and awareness roll while Lucius tells me what type of outfit he sought out at Berghain.
So the one that he would probably have been most attracted to wear himself is probably a pretty stylish young man dressed up. I think the best way I can explain what I'm thinking is Jack Skellington, but kinky.
Sure. So we're in the early 2000s, so emo is king right now.
Yes.
So you could absolutely have taken someone wearing like a mesh shirt, but they also maybe had striped, what do you call it, fingerless gloves, and maybe a spiked leather jacket.
Yeah, like big collar, some pinstripes.
Absolutely.
And some leather harness.
I love it. So you sort of slip back behind to change into this quickly. In the shadows where you prefer to be. Yancey, what did you roll?
In my line of work, it pays to pay attention. I got 5 successes.
You absolutely saw someone knock someone out or kill them. Would you say you killed them, Lucius, or you say you just knocked their head against the side of Berghain? It's a big cement Soviet-era building.
What you probably noticed is that I did a double whammy of dominate and then I smashed their head against the wall.
Obviously. So you would have seen that and saw them strip them completely naked. Take their clothes.
This is one of those things where it's not really my business what people get up to in the city. Everybody's got their own thing. They have their own feeding habits, their own kinks. And besides, I've got money to make right now. So I am standing my 6'7" ass right here, doing card tricks for the people in line. The ones that, actually still give a shit about magic and don't think they're too good for it.
Absolutely. And I don't need even to make a roll for that because your performance is so outrageously high. There are people who would not be able to take their eyes off of you even if they don't want to watch you. And
exactly. There's a whole lot of just, just cards that appear out of nowhere and the whole deal.
A lot of digitation. So, Lucius, you have changed into your outfit, but now you have to get into Berghain. What is your plan to do that? And of course, Lucius, you can still, Yancey, you can still keep him in the periphery the whole time.
Yeah, the mask doesn't cover up too much of it. I can still see while I'm doing things. At this point, I know my tricks. I don't have to watch too terribly.
That makes sense. Oh man.
If I set up the scene for you, Berghain is a large, completely square cement building. And as I said, it's a Soviet-era building. Almost all of the clubs and bars that you'll find in Berlin were buildings that were built during what we would call the Cold War, or when the Berlin Wall was constructed and Berlin was split into sort of Soviet and US and British sections. And when the Berlin Wall came down in the 90s, most of the buildings became these buildings that all look the same, edifices that are completely beauty-free, became places of clubs, bars, self-expression, sexual freedom, all of those things. And all that stands, and it's covered in graffiti, all that stands in front of Berghain is just a couple of metal bars that indicate this is where you're supposed to stand, and that's it. There are 2 bouncers at the door. It almost looks like a prison if you walk up to it.
I don't want to become too loud or obvious. Mm-hmm. So I think obviously staying in line is not an option.
Obviously.
But
when you do look at the line, you do see a very tall man, probably about your height, performing card tricks to the delight and chagrin of the people waiting in line.
Plan A, Yancey.
Sure. How you approach him is up to you.
I just walk up pretty straight and quick and ask, would an urban magician do and happen to know a way into Berghain? That is not this line. I dive.
Hold that and shake it in front of him.
I dive into my pockets and take out someone else's wallet and give you the last of my money.
The money goes in, onto the head, a big bow to everybody in the line, and one spidery arm around this new guy's shoulders as we turn and walk towards the front door. And as we walk, it's been very showy, flowy, and whatnot. And when when Yancey finally starts to speak, it becomes jarringly different. Gargling of rocks as what exactly brings you into this part of town?
I am looking for friends, new acquaintances.
Well, you won't get all of them with money, that's for sure, but I'm certain that you'll find some people to your liking inside.
That is what I am hoping.
Wonderful.
I did find you with money. Is that normally how you make friends?
That's not normally how I make money.
Resourceful.
When you're good at something, don't do it for free. And I'm going to walk him right up to the front door with the bouncers.
You see, of course, you know every bouncer that works for Berghane. And you see one you've seen many, many times, Alyosha. And he says, "Hey, yo. How you doing, Yancey?"
Yo. She in tonight?
Of course she's in. When is she? It's a better question is, when is she not in?
You see, I've got somebody here that is looking to make some new friends, and I'm going to put my hand square on top of Lucius's head, just palming it. Just wants to make some new friends.
I can't promise that the witch is going, the Hexa is going to want to talk to him. That's up to you, Yancey.
It always is. You mind?
Please. And of course, you hear some people in the back of the line saying, "Hey, what the fuck? Why does he get to go in?" But the bouncers ignore it entirely and open the door. And as the door swings open to Berghane, it is alive in here. Yancey, Lucius, rouse check, please. It is an absolute feast for the senses, feast for the flesh. People are in all forms of undress. The club music is could shatter eardrums. It is every single type of light, laser lights. People are dancing up on cages hanging from the ceiling. It is a feast for the senses, honestly. Yes.
House check failed, hunger too.
Mm-hmm. Always happens to you. You hate it. It always, I mean, you know, it's not even your way you like to feed the thing, but it's just, you know, it's that thing you all got in you, and it's really annoying sometimes. What about you, Lucius?
I succeeded. I'm still at hunger 0.
It's amazing. Yeah, and again, same for you, Lucius. This is not your scene at all, and you are probably quite grateful that your beast has decided to keep its trap shut. For at least a few minutes, anyway. Now, as Yancey, as you lead him through this packed place, because it is packed with people every night, and again, these people are going to be here for 3 nights straight. A lot of them are. Meine Hexe, up on the 2nd floor of Berghane, where you can look down at all the people, the bar, the dancing. You have your own private, let's call it balcony area, VIP area. Normally, VIP areas are reserved for celebrities or very wealthy people or people who pay a lot of money to rent these private booths here. And usually it's multiple people, not just one person, because it's a lot of space up here for just one person. But you are one person, and this is your booth. This is where you come every night. Nobody bothers you. There are 2 people who are guarding your entryway into it with a rope. And you have all the amenities up here. You have couches to relax on, chairs, refreshments are brought to you when you require it. And what is the witch doing tonight? What is her mood like tonight?
I think tonight she has been standing on the 2nd floor for a while already. Probably as soon as she woke up and got here. And I think she is leaning on the balcony, looking for something interesting tonight. Looking at the souls of people, like reading auras here and there, seeing if there's maybe possibly something interesting in there. Because, well, she can look and hear as a human could, but then she can also pick up on little other things that may pique her interest for once. So she's kind of merely just watching the crowd. And I would imagine that she is rapid in changing whose aura she's looking at. Like, maybe for
Sure.
some people this would be overwhelming in a way.
Sure, and I'm sure you
But-
move from station to station on your balcony, sliding your hand across the railing as you do so.
Yeah, I think it's definitely very... It might be overwhelming to a lot of people to see all these colors and all these lights and sounds, but to her it's just usual.
It's the same old, same old. You do see Lamb is here again tonight. She looks fun, vibrant, beautiful. She's dancing with new people every night that she comes here, every weekend. It's always new people. It's so exciting. But she's a little bit far away from you, and the night is still very young. And you have time before, if you decide to invite her up. Another person you see is maybe someone that a little bit more of a chagrin when you see them. It's Yancey, of course, wading through the crowd in his white mask, not letting anyone stand in his way, but he has someone with him, someone you don't know. You don't recognize them at all.
I think she stops walking at this because it's not Yancey's thing to really walk around with new people all that much.
You don't ever see Yancey hanging out with anyone except when he comes to annoy you.
I think she makes a point of standing still on the balcony and looking directly at him.
Yancey, you can see her.
She rolls her eyes and she does.
You wanted to make new friends? Come with me. And I lead him towards the stairs.
There's a lingering glance at Lamb before she turns her back to the balcony and walks to sit down in the booth.
Yes. Now, where you're going to sit, just for clarification for the storytellers, do they have to sit next to you? Are they going to sit in front of you?
Like,
How are you going to guide the social interaction? Because this is all you.
Yeah, I would imagine that it is a booth where there are 3 sofas in like a U setup. So one in the middle, then one to each side of it, making a little mini booth. And she sits in the middle one,
Obviously.
like just middle of the middle one. And she looks very relaxed there.
So Yancey, as you lead Lucius up the balcony, or up the stairs to the balcony, Jessica, who is one of, again, the many people who work here at Berghain, she's sort of a manager of what's emerging. Interestingly, what's emerging in the market is something called the internet and social media. And she works now with Berghain, trying to give them a social media presence to attract people more people from around the world to come here. And she looks at you and she says, Guten Abend, Herr Yancey. It's nice to see you again.
Hey there.
I assume that she gave you permission to come up. She did not tell me.
That depends. Does pointing up here and waving mean that I come up here? Or is that just a new thing?
Nee, klar. Yeah, of course. And she looks at you. Hello, Herr...
Giovanni.
Oh. If you are visiting us from Italy, that will make it very happy in my report.
No, I am native.
Schade. Well, please go back. And she removes the rope, lets you through.
Step through.
I walk in behind him, leaning very close, and I go, Giovanni, huh?
Yes, I thought you would find that interesting.
I'm sure everybody will.
But who actually needs to know?
That depends entirely on what kind of name you're looking to make for yourself here.
None. Not yet.
The rare introverted Giovanni.
When you are hunted, it is best not to make a name for yourself. However, as I am
Did you-
here to make friends, it is best to start off with the truth.
Hunted? Did you do something naughty?
No, my foolish plans, and they were not successful. And so the failures have been killed, driven out. Unfortunately, that is also my name that they have stained.
Mm. Trust me, if there's one thing I know, it's taking up the shit from another group of people.
Mm. You
Let's
have
see
to
how
do
well she
that.
likes you.
Yes, and before I meet her, I would like to confirm she is the witch of Kandam. Huh?
I mean, that's what she's told me. I tend to take it on faith at this point.
I'm sure I believe you.
See if she likes you, and then if she does, we'll talk about this hunting party of yours a little bit more.
I would love to.
So would I.
Lucius.
Yancey.
And with that, I go and sit in the middle of the sofa to your left-hand side.
Oh, whoa, boy. You still need to enter the room. Thank you.
Oh, you were in a room. Sorry, I thought you were in like an open space.
So did I.
And I have no idea.
Oh, is it an open room? Is it an open
It
space?
is. It's all
Huddy?
an open space, yeah.
There you go. Then it's an open space.
Mhm. But you can still
Still present
absolutely
yourself.
call him boy and stop him from sitting down.
If you walk closer and you make motions to sit down, she will hold up a hand and say, "Warte bitte." Yancey. A delight to see you, I'm sure.
Of course, absolutely. Thought I'd introduce you to somebody new in town.
You made a friend.
I maybe made you a friend.
She looks at Lucius. What can I see in his aura?
And Lucius's aura.
Yeah.
Well, that's an excellent question.
Uh,
I'm trying to decide if thin bloods count as diablerie.
I need.
Thin blood wraiths. Or
I'm
thin
trying to
blood-
decide if I want that to count. or
I
not.
apparently I drank that Cappadocian.
You
dry.
did, and that wasn't
So
long
that would
enough.
be in
That
the-
wasn't over a year ago.
Yeah.
So,
so
yeah,
that
you would
have been-
absolutely see black streaks in his aura. Recently diablerized someone.
and ambition. I think probably a little fear.
And
All right.
something else. Schicksal. Destiny.
All right. I think there's a moment of silence as she is literally staring at Lucius. You both can sit.
Yancey, do I take it as read that you would have already sat down?
Oh, I'm already laying on one of the couches. And if anybody looked over, they noticed the mask just flipped already.
That is another different mask.
Because I put the first one. Yeah.
Okay.
You
So-
can
okay.
definitely notice that if Yancey is laying down on one of the couches, she's not giving it any attention. Yeah.
Then I dutifully acknowledge and sit and relax in the middle of the other sofa.
What is your name?
Lucius Giovanni.
You, Giovanni, are so full with pride that you never even hide your name. Lucius Giovanni, and what brings you to Burkine tonight?
I'm tired of being hunted. And I seek destiny. I seek my path of providence that had been enlightened to me recently by the death of a Cappadocian.
You are so used to being the predator that once you turn prey, you get scared. Or is it something else?
I'm not afraid to admit that you're correct. But so far I'm still here. They are still the prey. What I need is friends.
So you came into Berlin's most active nightclub to make friends. That fits. Why would anyone want to be friends with you, Lucius Giovanni?
It really depends on what they want. Friendship is not an interaction, a transaction.
That's
I can show
such
my friends many things.
boring view of it.
Oh, really? Is there anything you are not bored of? Wow. And I wait for you to fill in your name.
You may call me the Witch of Gudam. I don't know, tell me, is there something I'm not bored of tonight? I haven't quite made up my mind yet.
Is he like me, you immediately go on the attack when you are uncertain of something? You have learned all you could about me from whatever. And you attempt to size me up and put me in my place. I respect this very much.
Yancey, am I bored of something tonight?
I don't know, but good God, I wish I could eat popcorn right now.
I'm sure the staff could arrange some for you. And she immediately dismisses him again with that and looks at Lucius again.
I'm glad to have entertained you, Yancey.
Hey, when you drop a name like that, I figure that it's worth introducing you to someone who'd want to keep track of that name.
Thank you.
So did you already make friends with Yancey?
I do admire him also. There's something to be said for the jester. On the outside, you can see many things.
You know, I'm not really sure how to take that one. I'll figure it out later. So, you are here because you don't want to be hunted anymore. Reasonable. But you're also seeking destiny, which is going to put you in the scope of a whole lot of people that don't really want that sort of thing. Seems a little counterproductive. But I figure in the interest of making friends, I would introduce you to somebody that, and please do understand that this is probably the nicest thing I'm going to say about you. It's probably the best friend that you can make here in this city, if you want to watch your ass.
I do want to watch my ass. Please, if you have questions, Yancey, and if my guess is correct, you are Nosferatu. This is why you hide your face?
No, I mean, I don't want to distract from my street performance with just how pretty I am.
Of course.
It'll take away from the visuals.
Surely a distraction would be good to draw attention from your hands.
I'm quick enough as it is.
I don't doubt it. However, if you wish to extract secrets from the dead, feel free to continue our friendship.
Interesting. Tell you what, you got that on the table, and I've got an introduction to one of the best people you could know in the city right back.
Up until this point, it literally looked like the witch was just zoning out. Like she wasn't even paying attention to the conversation and she was not in this room. Almost abruptly, she says, "And what secrets have you gotten to clean from the dead already?"
So you understand why I'm here. I have heard that in the confines of Berlin, there is something known as the Shadowbane.
What's that?
Exactly what? I am unsure. I believe it to be an artifact of my family.
So, you are on the run because you're on the hunt. You got scared, and your solution to the problem is to look up an unknown artifact from your family. To what end? I must wonder.
My family has abandoned me. All the families of what they've begun to call the Hecata have abandoned me. I wish to reclaim what is mine and remove the stain from Giovanni.
I didn't know they used a other family name nowadays to put you all together, but then things do change so fast. So, you have hopes, despite not knowing anything about this artifact. You have hopes that this artifact might clean your family name.
Are you expecting me to elaborate?
Am I?
You clearly know.
I'm gonna guess that's a no.
I cannot. I'm willing to throw myself into the river of fate. I have very few other options, save for disappearing into the Shadowlands, and that is not a very pleasant option.
I've never been there.
I could take you.
There is a slight peak of interest there, but it disappears immediately. So, hypothetically speaking, Mr. Giovanni, if you would want a friendship here, what is it you seek from me exactly? What is the transaction you would want to make?
Safety. Any information you have about the Shadowbane. And eventually, your companionship.
Now I really wish I had popcorn. Not at all.
Oh. Yeah.
Nope.
Hold out your hand.
What for?
I want to see if you'll be interesting enough.
He hesitates, but he puts out his hand.
She reaches over and she says, "It's good to hesitate. I see the fear in you." She takes his hand with both of hers, and I would like to use premonition. Yes. A failure, so I do get hungrier.
So you do get hungrier. And I believe that's resolve and aspects?
Yes.
Yes, please roll that for me.
I would like to use Sense the Unseen, but I'm assuming I wouldn't see anything as this is premonition.
You can activate it.
Yeah.
Since the Unseen reveals things that are supernaturally hidden in some way. Doesn't show you anything on the witch, unless she is concealing something that she'd like to tell me about. Magically. Do you have any wards on your person?
No, not at this moment.
Just certainly isn't acting like a Tremere, at the very least. In the sense where she's not, covered in occult items, like most Tremere that you've met. What was your roll?
4 successes.
With 4 successes, as you take Lucius's hand, and you concentrate on your abilities to pierce the veil, see beyond. In your time, which has been a very long time, you would have heard quite a few times that Malkavians always consider the Auspex clans to be somewhat lesser than them, that their oracular ability is always focused on one particular thing, whereas they see beyond what their own desires are and see premonitions of things that even they don't understand. It's a much greater gift than those who call upon it. But as you focus on Lucius, you see him wearing a crown, standing in what looks like Berlin, but it looks like Berlin dismantled, demolished, destroyed, like it has been in the past, but this is different. It's death here. Everything dead. The land, the people, the buildings, the trees, everything's dead. And he stands here with a crown on his head. And as he looks above, the Berlin that you know is drowning in blood.
There is a minute or two of silence as she is gazing past Lucius. After that, her eyes focus again, and they focus on him again. Interessant. Wirklich sehr interessant. She leans back again. I believe, Mr. Giovanni, that you might be able to be someone interesting if you would see your plans through. Berlin has been dying for a change either way. Berlin or myself. They're the same nowadays.
Do you believe that? I heard there is someone much closer to Berlin's history in Syriinx.
I care about Berlin today. I cared about Berlin yesterday. I cared about Berlin a decade ago. I didn't always care about Berlin. It's interesting to me now. It'll be interesting to me tomorrow. Probably.
Then consider me part of Berlin. I was born here. And perhaps I will meet final death here. But I was drawn here. My history with this city is actually quite close to my heart. Although I had to go away. Despite the danger, I came back. Berlin is special. I also care about it.
She looks at your chest for a moment and says, I have always wondered what the heart of a Giovanni looks like. And for a moment, you actually might think that she would like nothing more than to just cut you open and see that heart. But it passes again very quickly. As she looks up to you again. I
You seek
do.
excitement.
Speak again.
You seek excitement. Things that interest you. And yet you seem to know everything. Control everyone. Perhaps there is something I can show you that is new, that you cannot control. Something that will make you feel small. Further from life than you already are.
She has an open grin at that.
Imagine being entirely out of control. Lost in the sea.
And you think you can offer me and more, Mr. Giovanni?
I can offer you exactly what you ask for.
Exactly what I asked for.
The thing is, you have been crying out for every sentence since I arrived. Whatever it is that can stop you from being bored.
Takes me back. There have been many that have offered me exactly what I wished for, what I thought of, what my heart desired. You see companionship.
I do.
You seek to stay in Berlin.
I do.
You seek to know more about this Shadow Bane.
I do.
Einmal ja. I'll make you a transaction, as you like to call it, Mr. Giovanni. I'll take you on a trial period. If I like what I see, you'll get everything you want.
And if you do not?
I might still be benevolent and give you something. I might not. I might not care either way. I might just let you leave tomorrow. I might just let you leave in a year. Who knows? Isn't that exciting?
I'm ready to take whatever risk if it leads me closer to the fate for myself and Berlin, and for my family name.
She has a little shiver as she grins again and says, "The pride you take in that name never ceases to amaze me. A name doesn't mean anything. You know that Shadowbane that you are so obsessed with? It was retrieved by a Cappadocian, indeed. About, what is it now? 1,000 years ago, perhaps? Or less, I think. It's an ancient soul-forged relic, something you, Giovanni, might particularly like the taste of, I'm sure. Do you know... No. I'm sure you don't even know that. Do you know what you can do with it?
I would love to learn that. Tell me a tale.
I have never touched it myself. It doesn't interest me. It's something you soul wielders like more. It's not my particular taste. But I have heard here and there that the artifact, well, it holds enough of those delicious wraiths, delicious souls you so like, to tear down this shroud. Well, around Berlin, if you so like the city. Perhaps even more than Berlin if you're ambitious enough, I'm sure. Is this something that you would want?
I believe I would like to do that. There was a Giovanni who attempted it. He failed. But really, you spent so long with death. It being one step closer would make almost no difference to any of us. The kind fabric of our world, our city. Can you imagine what touching dead stone would feel like? Not the life we have carved into it, all of the soul of the happiness, all of those emotions. So close you can touch and taste. Everything we have built into this city, transformed, malleable, by those smart enough to know how. And I don't doubt that you are smart enough to know how. Berlin could be even closer to your heart than it is right now.
Am I correct to say that there is a definite excitement and anticipation when Lucius gets into telling about this more and more.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think as she has been leaning back on this sofa, she leans forward, like arms on her knees. And she says, I'm sure I'm smart enough to figure it out. But at this moment, Mr. Giovanni, I'm not as interested in Berlin as I am in you. Think
Good.
that as you will.
I appreciate that.
Storyteller really quick needs to check in on Yancey. Yancey, how you doing?
I'm gonna be honest, I kind of zoned out when it sounded like they were gonna start fucking each other, but got back in after a little bit.
Everything that you've heard so far, where's Yancey's head at this moment? Now, Yancey, of course, very often just sits around, does nothing, or plays with his playing cards, or just hangs around just to annoy you. Sometimes just stares at you from the other corner of the balcony for no reason. So nothing that he's exhibiting is strange to you, maybe to Lucius a little bit. But friends with the witch, got to be on the up and up, right? Yancey, where's your mind at right now?
I'm taking intricate, detailed note of everything that's being said while looking like I absolutely do not give a shit right now.
Wonderful. Please proceed forward.
Also, I think for Yancey, definitely, he knows that she's not paying any attention to him. She usually doesn't. Like, there are moments when they have a conversation or when they have, like, a moment. But it's definitely for him giving the vibe that she has a new plaything at this moment tonight.
For sure, Lucius, there is no possible way for you to know why the Witch of Kudum, who's clearly this person who knew what the Shadowbane was, clearly elder, powerful, entertains this Nosferatu's presence. There's no possible way you could even think of anything that would allow this to be happening. So that's a complete question mark in your brain.
I mean, I think the most obvious reasons could be that somehow they're linked, and he even thinks like he's bloodbounded or something.
Yeah,
like
it could be any number of sort of like far out possibilities, but nothing obvious to you at the moment.
The big thing, of course, is that Yancey counts on the fact that the witch doesn't pay much attention to him. But that's a secret for later.
I'm wondering.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was wondering if it would be. Obviously, you giving the impression that you don't give a shit, and like your presence here is clearly tolerated. I was wondering if it was worth me turning around to be just like, what do you think?
Oh, if you want the option for that, to turn to Yancey, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll totally give you the option, because I think at this moment, when there's like a moment of silence, the witch just like leans back and just, again, it's clear that her eyes are not focused here and she's not in this conversation anymore at this point.
Yeah, like Lucius is leaning in, he's like getting really excited and talking really fast, and then she just kind of disappears from her half of the conversation.
And like, I would say you'd be able to, from that, to like, even though you said that like, oh, you're bored or you get bored, you're realizing that the witch gets bored quick. Really, like if you don't hold her attention every second of every night, you're gonna be on the outs pretty fast.
Yeah. So he, trying to hide his moment of frustration, he leans back and turns to Yancey. Is like, so how long have you two been friends?
Yeah, looking over, Yancey's mask is right back to the white again. He goes, friends is sort of a tricky term, but we've known each other for a decade or so, I think. It's a mutual interest at times, which, as you can see is a hell of a feat. Keeping interest at any amount of time.
How do you do it? Or, more to the point, how do you not do it and live?
How do I not do what?
Keep her interest.
I don't worry about it.
And what do you think?
I think that despite this visage over here, you definitely got something appealing. Godspeed on that with your little trial period. But it's definitely a hell of a story. And it's honestly, all the details about it are a little much, but the part I am interested in is how it ends. I'm not exactly a the journey is what counts kind of guy. So a thought I was having is you got a twofold problem here. You're being hunted, and you don't like that bit, and you're trying to find this shadow blade thingy. I can't help with the second one, but I really want to know how this turns out. So, if you are willing to keep me updated, like on what you find, just keep me in the loop, keep me on the story, all the way up until you find the damn thing. That's my interest. I am surprisingly good at getting people off of people's tails. And the one thing that I've noticed a lot of our kind forget about is the easiest way to track people and hunt them down isn't anything mystical, isn't anything in the blood. Usually it's the goddamn DMV. So if you want to have your trail go a little bit cold to the people that are looking for you, and if you don't mind the general public not knowing your name for a little while, I could make that deal.
Scrub me from the records. I have time. I am willing to wait until I am known.
Sounds good to me. Then yeah, I'll get you your paperwork or lack thereof, and you just you keep telling me your story.
If I fail to do that, then I am probably already dead. You will have your secrets.
Fantastic. But really, best of luck to you in this trial period. It's kind of like, you ever play with a cat with a laser pointer?
Yes.
Keep a lot of batteries on you, because if they run out, she's somewhere else.
Understood.
She focuses back on Lucius. Oh, you're still here. All right. You, Mr. Giovanni, are going to come back here every evening for seeing as you have great plans, let's say for the next 6 months, you will come back here every evening and you'll entertain me. Who's to say with what?
I have many tricks. I've learned many things on my travels. You will have the opportunity to feel or not feel a great many things. Whether it is pain or pleasure, I can and will put those before you. It is up to you. And obviously you will decide what to do with me after that.
Shit, I was just gonna teach you some coin tricks, but Godspeed.
Dann überlasse ich das dir. I will leave that up to you then. You can leave for tonight. You can stay if you want to, Yancey. I do not care.
I'll hang out for a bit.
Would you like to tell me what sort of things you would like Lucius to do?
So, throughout the months to come, every evening I'm assuming Lucius comes to Berghain.
It's up to Lucius. Does
That's
he
what I'm
fulfill this
saying.
part of the bargain?
He does not seem happy about it at first,
Mhm.
but he does.
There is a definite change throughout the months where in the beginning, almost every evening, the witch will ask you to do something. She will ask you to perform some of your rituals, to show her, and it might start small, to show how you pull a wraith, to talk to them, to tell her a story about your experiences with wraiths. She will ask you to get a mortal for her, to maybe even feed on them upstairs.
Well, she watches.
Sure.
You are, and you would have. Now you've been around for a very long time, so you would be aware of it. But it's unlikely that you would have personally witnessed a Giovanni feeding, and the painful bite is quite something to behold. The way the mortal reacts completely different to the way it reacts to your bite and the bite of every other clan that you're aware of. It's horrible. Very interesting.
I think throughout all of that as well, that he needs to take care of that, you know? He will need to, if the mortal starts causing a scene or anything, he needs to, it's completely up to him. He needs to take care of that. Perhaps she will have one or two touches with anything Lucius, because he was offering her, I can let you feel the stuff as well. I can show you like the Shadowlands and stuff. Up to whatever point he can make true on those promises, she will experience it. At certain moments, there might be visible interest in her eyes for a second, but it's not every time. And perhaps if after such an experience, after a few months where she would, I don't know what Lucius can do or what he would offer, so please tell me.
I mean, one of the rituals that he would absolutely offer to perform for you is, I forget what it's called, but it essentially removes all sensation except for pain.
I think the evening day would do that, and he would display the ritual, let her experience that. They would do that where for once in the evening perhaps no one is upstairs, like even guarding the door, right? That there's literally no one else on the second floor, so that when she experiences that ritual, the only thing she still feels is pain. Her sense of self has been numbed. She would even instruct Lucius to take a blade and just literally like slice entirely over her arm, just that she could feel that pain in like multiple latitudes. And after that, as she heals up her wounds again, she would tell him, "You know all about your Shadowbane. Only a singer of divine light can destroy it, or so I've heard. And also only the Throne of Shadows can wield it, and only his heir can find it. Do with that information as you wish. You can go for the night."
Of course.
I need to ask Yancey, how often have you been around for these trial periods?
Probably like every other week or so. Not a ton. I mean, honestly, the tension in the air was a little bit uncomfortable, all things considered. Plus, I got stuff to do. But yeah, showing up like every other week, just to see how stuff is going. Get any rundown from Lucius on what he's finding out about things. At this point, he's got Yancey has Mask 2 Cobbler, so at this point, like, fake identities have been an easy thing, so he's well set up with that.
And Lucius, have you divulged what you've learned from the witch to Yancey in exchange for this?
Occasionally, unless I think it is something like this would probably be limited in the details. But I would have told a lot what happened with the witch if he asked. But like, I think this is a bit too close to his heart of hearts, what he really wants. And obviously,
which information specifically would you not have told him?
I imagine how it's found.
His heir.
Yeah, the heir.
So you would have told him that only a singer of divine light could destroy it?
Yeah.
All right.
I think after that, unless you want to add something to that scene with Yancey.
Yancey has his own scene coming up. Don't worry about him.
After that point, where I'm assuming this is the, how to say it, the grandest ritual you could perform to make her feel things, right?
For feelings,
experience in general.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming, I don't know how Giovanni entirely work, but I'm assuming, can you go to the Shadowlands you yourself? Can you take someone?
I think it's a ritual for up to 4 people. Coterie sized.
Yeah. Okay. She would have definitely asked you to do that as well. Or if you would have offered, either is fine.
And I have to ask the question, would you have taken Yancey were he there?
Oh, that would be cool, though.
Honestly, Lucius likes Yancey like the tiniest little bit.
Sure, who wouldn't?
He's
so likable.
Fascinated by the interaction between these two. Like, he is also eating popcorn when they're talking. So, like, he would have brought Yancey to see the Shadowlands.
Yancey ist sehr sympathisch, as we would say here in Germany. So, you perform your ritual to enter the Shadowlands. It's exactly the way it looked in your premonition, meine Hexe. Everything destroyed, decayed, falling apart. Everything here is gray and emotionless, dark and cold, devoid of any joy, any light. It's fascinating. It's so interesting. And Yancey, you've heard a lot now about the Shadowbane and what it does. What you're seeing is what Lucius wants to turn Berlin into. Here, there's nowhere to do card tricks. There's no secrets here. It's just death. And who knows how far this could encompass should he be successful.
The witch will have, since she finds this very interesting, because this is something new, she would have, throughout the next few evenings or next few weeks, she would have told Lucius to perform it again. You can definitely notice that this is something that has piqued her interest, and so it's literally like finding your favorite attraction in an amusement park and asking someone, oh, can I go again? Can I go again? But it's not asking, it's literally saying, tonight you will do this again. And go ahead.
I was going to say, the more you ask, I think you probably notice the more frayed Lucius's patience becomes. Like he is not used to being in this position.
Certainly not.
Which is starting to wear on him. But outwardly he holds it in, but you can see his aura, so I doubt he can hide it from you.
And certainly what both you and Yancey would have noticed, the wraiths that you do come across when you travel with him into the Shadowlands flee from him, terrified of him. They know who he is instantly.
Interesting.
This is horrible. Yancey, for sure, you hope that when you die, you really die.
You like it here?
I do. It is a place away from people. It is a reminder of failure. It is where we will all end up. Do you like it here?
It's bleak, to say the least.
Bleakness is for those who have lost hope. Even in this place, not everything can be destroyed. Everything that remains is, at its essence, a form of strength.
Yes, and to Lucius's point, you would have seen this. You would have seen strange creatures that almost look like what humans call like a Grim Reaper coming through the Shadowlands and raking their scythes through wraiths, fleeing from them. You would have heard as you wandered the Shadowlands with Lucius sounds of forges, banging metal against metal. You think it's not, and you would only have to ask Lucius to confirm so. You think that in addition to just being dead and being in this horrible place, that there's more dangers for the wraiths here. That they could be stolen and their bodies, whatever's left of them, their corpus, turned into items to continue building up this barren wasteland in perpetuity.
Now, you see, I'm not exactly not exactly what you'd call a sentimental kind of guy, but for me, the reminder of failure is back out there where you can see other people's successes. The reminder of death is seeing the life that you still got around you at all points in time. Here, it kind of feels like there's nowhere to go but down.
There's exactly nowhere else to go. Believe me, if I close the escape, the likelihood is that none of us would survive. We are not the apex predators here. But as to your point on failure, I believe that is more likely a reflection of my own bloodline and less on you. You seem to be extremely successful.
I think the witch interrupts at that moment and focuses on the two people again. Just says, Ich habe genug für heute Abend. I've had enough for tonight. Take us back.
Of course, Alan.
It's a little insulting, Lucius, for you to have taken someone to a place where they never would have been able to go themselves, and the energy it expends upon you to do so, to then be, not in absolute joy to be there. I mean, the witch doesn't show absolute joy, but the witch shows some sort of appreciation.
Yancey, I may be ending my trial period. I'm not sure how much longer I can stand this.
Well, how close do you think you are to getting what you want?
I do not know. Close.
Well, you're the only one that can make that call. I guess the question becomes, do you want your reminder of failure to stay back where we just came from, or do you want it to be out here too?
I wish to transform it.
How so?
A success.
You want to make where we just came from a success?
Absolutely, I would like to make Berlin a success. There's so much blood and death on, I imagine, both of our hands. Wouldn't it just be simpler to make everything else look like us? We could blend in easier.
I'm on a level with you, friend. I think I might look more like her than you will if we change everything. All things considered.
Of course. Apologies.
But to that point, again, it begs the question. If everything is dead, what makes us special? What's the point of it? What's the point of getting up every night to do what we do? And obviously that's a subjective sort of thing. Some people get up for the routine of it. They get up, they feed, they go back to sleep, rinse and repeat. But out here, you at least have the option of finding a reason for shit. Right? What are you going to do back there?
Once you have stripped away the artifice, the truth of those who remain will be much clearer, and they can decide that answer for themselves. If they truly wish to live, then they will make something of themselves.
See, there's that tricky word given the circumstance. Live.
Adversity binds us, makes us closer. And I wish to do that for my family and all the families that will attempt to remain within Berlin. Have you never considered that you would be too worried about survival, rebuilding, to even give whatever curse you have been delivered a second thought? I, for one, have thought long and hard about what might be under your mask. Would that be something you would be willing to reveal?
Yancey leans very close, and through the eye holes, Lucius can see around the eyes just sunken gray mottled skin, yellowing in the what would be the wipes of the eyes. One of them is actually a bit fogged over, as if it's lost its sight. With that small bit of visual, the closest thing that Lucius could compare it to would be a corpse. He then says, this is my face. It's the one that I chose. Not the shit that got put on me underneath it.
Of course.
What it's worth. With all the work that you've put into it and all the, well, as you said, court gesturing that you've had to do. I sure do hope that you find what you're looking for. And I hope that I'm around to hear about it when you do.
I'm sure you will be.
Good luck. And he puts just a playing card in the shirt pocket of Lucius and taps it. Once you're out of the trial period, you're probably going to need it more than ever.
Is it a
And
joke?
Yancey will... It's not. It's the King of Hearts, the one with the swords to its head. Yancey exits.
We'll catch up with Yancey in just a minute.
After this moment, a few more weeks pass by. I would think that we are over halfway through the 6-month trial period. And throughout this period, the last few weeks, Lucius can feel that there is a lessening of interest. That some evenings he comes to Berkheim and he just has to stay there for a couple of hours, not doing anything for the witch, just being there, and then being dismissed and leaving again without doing anything for her that evening. At that point, it'll be a combination of taking her to the Shadowlands at some points. It's not frequent. It's definitely not frequent. But it's either that or not doing anything for her. Just being at Berkheim, being dismissed. Coming back next night, being dismissed again. Nothing else being asked of him. Up until a certain point where it has been a bit before 6 months. Perhaps Lucius is counting down the days on a calendar. But it's a bit before 6 months. When the night comes that she has him come to Berkheim again. Stay for a couple of hours, sitting in the sofa next to her as she glazes off, as she looks at the crowd beneath them, as she sits there. And at a certain point, she will speak up. I have grown tired of you. You will do one last thing for me tonight, and then you can consider your trial period done. Stand with me.
Is this the companionship portion? I stand next to her.
She doesn't answer and walks to the balcony where they can look at the crowd. She waits until he stands next to her. For a moment, silence. She looks over the crowd. Do you see that pink-haired girl over there? The one at the bar. talking to 3 men.
Of course.
After I dismiss you, you will bring her to me. And then you may leave.
Yes.
Your Shadowbane. Should you find it, it will require a significant blood sacrifice to use it. Again, should you find it, I will provide this for you as part of our transaction. And a last little bit of perhaps interesting information for you could be that I've heard some whispers that the Bahari have taken the last remaining Giovanni children to a location nearby in Potsdam. Perhaps that will be of interest to you.
Thank you.
Your words mean nothing, but I'll see your actions in the future. You're dismissed, Mr. Giovanni. She looks away from him, down at the crowd.
Before he leaves, how many have made it through your tests?
Bold of you to assume everyone gets a 6-month trial period.
Then perhaps I should feel honored. I look forward to the night that we meet again.
We'll meet again. You have Schicksal to thank for that. Now, I already told you once, I don't like to repeat myself.
I understand. And just turns to retrieve the pink-haired girl.
Mm-hmm. As the Witch of Kudam said, she's sitting at the bar and she is getting free drinks. She's leaning on some of these men and laughing, and they are fawning over her. She seems very exuberant, happy and vital and full of life. And as you approach her, Lucius, you can see that she has fangs.
Is it obvious that she's using a discipline?
Yes.
Of course. Yeah, in that case, I'm going to go up to her and just say...
You're going to go right up to her, like in the front, like where awe would affect you?
Where all would affect me? Absolutely.
Or would you like to come up? Oh, you are? Okay. So make me a composure,
yeah.
composure and resolve roll really quick. I assume, Mina Hexa, you are watching all this.
Yeah, I am.
That is 7 with a crit.
Oh, absolutely. Of course, you feel your eye drawn to her. She's much more magnanimous than she was before you approached her. But you can act of your own free will.
Good evening. My name is Lucius, and I would like to extend to you a very exciting opportunity.
I love exciting opportunities.
This one is just for you.
For me?
Yes. I have a friend who is dying to meet you. She is much more interesting than these.
If you say so. Everyone is dying to meet me.
Yes.
Will you escort me?
Of course. What is your name?
Tonight, my name is Lam.
And by day, I assume they call you nothing at all. And I flash my own fangs and like try and link arms with her.
She suddenly becomes much, much more interested in you as soon as you show her fangs. Show you her fangs. She jumps out of her stool, links arms with you. She says, well, I would walk with you anywhere.
Yes, it's strange fate that has brought us here tonight.
I don't believe in fate.
You do not?
No.
Then what do you believe in?
I believe that some of us are just better than others and deserve more than others.
Well, I cannot argue with you there. What is your bloodline?
I hate when you sick bloods ask that question.
Do you know of a young man who attempted to project outside of his body? I have met some of your kind recently.
I do? You are speaking of Yamato.
Yeah, Yamato.
He died.
He did.
It did. He was doing that astral projection all the time, and one day he just never came back, and his body started rotting away, so we just dumped it in the dumpster.
That is strange. If you would like to talk to me again, I would very much be interested in helping you learn his secrets.
It's not really my thing.
No?
No.
I am an academic. I'm sure I could help make it your
Oh,
thing.
don't make this conversation boring, Susa, please. I don't want to talk
Well,
about books and history.
Books and history hold so much. For instance, I'm sure there's a reason
where's
that you
this
came
friend
here.
that you want me to meet? I hope this friend is more fun.
I've been called boring twice tonight, and I am growing tired of it, to be honest.
Okay, well,
My
I
friend
think
is
that
much more interesting than
I am going to
I-
either go back to my friends or you take me to your friend. Meine Schatze.
My friend will keep you entertained for months on end, and I lead her to the top of the stairs, push past the thin-blood attendant, and kind of place this thin blood next to the witch. I do not say anything to the witch.
So annoyed. And do you leave? As the witch instructed you to bring her the girl and leave? Or do you wait and watch?
I wait to make sure that the girl doesn't go anywhere, but then I go.
Okay.
Hi, I've seen you up here so many nights. You're always alone. It's so boring.
I'm not alone tonight anymore. I've seen you down there almost every night as well.
I love it, yeah.
Already we have something in common. She crosses the room to her and she takes her hand and leads her to the sofas with her.
She follows.
And she says, "You are so fascinating."
I agree.
She sits her down and sits next to her. She says, "What did I call you?"
I go by Lam.
Lam.
Mm-hmm. Wie det hier.
Show me your fangs, Lam.
She does.
She shows her own.
Gorgeous.
She raises a hand and with one finger, like, lets it slide down her shoulder and her arm very softly as she says, Lämmchen, lass mich dein Freude fühlen.
And it takes no effort to diablerize her, to consume her. Of course, the bite is, unlike with Lucius's, is ecstatic, joyful, and she falls limp in your arms instantly. And as you drain her completely dry, she, of course, does not evaporate, turn into dust, start decomposing very quickly at all. She's just a corpse in your booth now.
As she lays as a corpse, I'm just stroking her hair. And there's a smile on my face.
And is the corpse of Lämmchen going to stay with you for the rest of the night?
What is one night?
Such an excellent question. So, Lucius leaving Berghane, I'm sure for the last time, I'm sure he hopes for the last time for a very long time, to, I assume, head eventually to Potsdam to find these Giovanni children, and who knows, maybe you'll run into some other Giovanni on the way. And the Witch of Kudam deciding which pink wig she's going to get to assume the identity of Lam, at least for a little while. Yancey, move our scene to you. Driving away from Friedrichshain to Charlottenburg, just in the south part of Berlin. Driving to the River Havel. The docks are. What's going through your mind at this moment as you are driving to the docks?
A whole city full of gray and ash.
Do you take one of the small, we call a dinghy, one of the small boats, or do you, how do you transport yourself to the Fahreninsel?
I know that they're listening. I go to the edge of the dock, and then I lift up my mask just enough to put my fingers under it, and there's a piercing whistle that just goes across the water.
Mm-hmm.
To let them know I'm here.
Takes a couple of minutes. Eventually you see Dragon emerge on the island in full view of you. And they start walking on the water. And eventually they start running towards you. Hello, Yancey.
Dragon.
Did you bring me something?
In a manner of speaking. Not the best present, but something nevertheless.
She reaches out to take your hand. And you can walk with her on the water. She holds very close, hooks her arm into yours, and sort of leans her head against your shoulder. You're troubled?
Yeah. We'll call it troubled. It's the nicest way of putting it.
What can I do?
I need you to listen. I need you to hear what I'm telling you, because it's going to concern you more than it's going to concern anybody else, but it is going to concern everybody else.
You can tell me anything, Yancey.
Storyteller, how often have I been back to the island during this trial period?
I'll let you decide that.
I'm gonna say not a whole lot then.
All right. Dragon knows you will either come back or you won't. And they are always excited to have you back.
Walking with them, I start to tell them. A man came to town not too terribly long ago by the name of Lucius Giovanni.
Giovanni?
Right? Apparently, not a fan from not really the rest of his group, that new group, not really a fan of him and his whole side of the family just yet.
Oh, the Hecata you told me about.
Yeah. He came here looking for I don't want to call it a fresh start, but he came here looking for people to align with. And moreover, he came here looking for something he considers to be very much his. A thing called the Shadowbane.
Dragon stops walking, so you are almost completely to the island. Of course, you can't walk without them. No. It's not his. He can't have it.
That's why I'm telling you about
Japheth
it.
Cappadocius gave it to me to keep safe.
And that's why I'm telling you about it, because he certainly thinks that it is his. He is very interested in finding it. I cut a deal with him so he could keep me updated on his search for it, because I really want to know if he gets any closer to finding it before he does. But he is very interested in it, and he's very interested in using it.
Yancey, do you know what it does?
I'm pretty sure I've seen the end result of what it does.
YepItsZak, tell me. I've never known what it does.
You know about the Hecata insofar as they are, they're the death side of that whole abyss thing. The La Sombra, the dark, and they are the death.
Yes, the memories. You know my memories. But yes, I remember what you tell me.
Yes. This guy is very much of the death part of things, and took me on a trip or two to go see the world within the world. I kind of hesitate to call it the afterlife, because that is really fucking depressing if that's what we've got to look forward to. But if I'm putting the dots together, this thing is going to rip open the barricade between us and there and make us more like there. That doesn't seem to bother him too terribly much.
We can't let that happen, Yancey. And not just because of
Yeah.
my peacocks.
No. I mean, honestly, it's, all around seems like kind of a bad plan, all things considered. Great dramatic moment, but after that...
So you've reached the island, and Dragon, of course, holding your hand, doesn't let go of it, takes you into their home, which is just sort of like an aviary that they've barricaded in some way. So it's like sort of like a small, very like little tower that they live in. All right. And again, holding your hand and with the other hand searching through their items, you know, Dragon might be classified as what we might call a hoarder today, or in German we call them messy, but it's much more extreme in English. And they start digging through their items until eventually they find the Shadowbane, which of course you have seen before in this house. It's a small object that looks like a face with very wide, frightened eyes and tendrils around the head. And Dragon sort of holds it. I have to secure it, somehow hide it, until we can figure out what we can do to... what we can do.
As best as you possibly can. Now, according to Lucius's little discoveries. Seems that, what was the wording on that? A child of light can destroy the thing, but I don't really, know what that entails. And it sounds like kind of people that maybe we wouldn't want to interact with too closely.
And you've seen this happen before with Dragon, where sometimes they'll get a memory of something, and their eyes will sort of glaze over, and they say, I remember the Inquisition had singers of light. And then they stop, snap back. I don't know what it means, Yancey. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but unfortunately that tracks. Because, why would it be any easier than it's gotta be?
I know it is. I cannot do much. I'm sorry. I do not want to leave the island. If I am here and everyone is afraid of me, then no one will come here.
Exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
it's incumbent on you, meine Süße. You must do something.
I'm gonna do what I can. I've already got Lucius keeping me in the loop as a thank you for keeping him off of the radar of the rest of his family. Which, all things considered, it'd probably be easier if I just let them find him, but,
Do you think
wouldn't
this
really work that way.
Hecata, they all want this to happen?
I try really hard not to judge an entire family by one person. I mean, God, if you did that, you think all the Nosferatu were just like me.
They would be so lucky. They were all like you. Maybe when the Hecata is more settled, maybe some will want to stop this too. And they would understand him more than other of our kind.
Maybe. The thing I do know is that if even one of these guys wants this to happen, that's not good news.
No. I'm going to hide the Shadowbane now. Will you wait for me?
Good. Yeah. I'm gonna be right here.
You watch as Dragon sinks down into the floor beneath you. And they're down for quite a while. They sink completely. Of course, the hole closes behind them. And you wait 5 minutes, 10 minutes, quite a long time. And eventually they emerge, covered completely in mud and dirt and sediment. They're completely drenched in it.
I'm good.
As safe as I can make it, I encased it in ice.
Don't. I don't want to know. I don't want to know how you hid it.
Okay.
Knowing that it's hidden is good enough.
Okay.
But I don't want the odds of that information coming out going up.
Yancey,
Yeah.
if they do find it, and they do bring the dead here, I'll do everything I can to protect you until the end, I promise.
I know.
And she, even though she's covered in muck, she puts her arms around you and says, "Take me back to the water. I need to wash."
You're gonna have to teach me that trick one of these days. I'll walk them back over to the water.
As we move away from that scene, Lucius, on his way to his destiny, the Witch of Kudam on her way to a new identity for who knows how long, and Yancey wondering what a single Nosferatu in the city of Berlin can do to stop death itself. That is where we're going to end our final prologue, our final pre-session Gruesome for this evening. And because it's the final pro session, I want to thank you guys so much. You're amazing. I know you guys keep saying we're your NPCs, but thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this story, for bringing all of this amazing energy and character ideas, and even Zach taking character that you already had and bringing it into the game. I'm incredibly honored, incredibly grateful. And Josh, you got to stop, because I have people in my TikTok comments saying that they want you to come kill their characters as Lucius Giovanni.
Fantastic. Gladly accept the sacrifices for the Shadowbane, you know?
For the Shadowbane.
For the, we'll just all end this with "for the Shadowbane," like a bunch of cultists.